Well, hey everybody, welcome to Rumble Rewind. Today we're talking about WWE 2K24 and the upcoming Post Malone and Friends DLC drop coming at you on June 26th. Let's dive right in. Hey, there is a lot coming up in this new DLC pack, but before we dive into today's conversation, why don't you do me a quick favor, scroll down below this video, hit that like button for me. While you're down there, if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for our first 200 subscribers, and once we get there, we'll be doing the best giveaway in the world, a CM Punk t-shirt and hat, and we want you to be eligible for that. The only way to register for this giveaway is to subscribe to the channel. If you want to stay up to date with all of the latest information regarding that giveaway, or to make sure you never miss an upload, go ahead and turn on those post notifications as well. All right. Let's jump into today's video. We are talking about the Post Malone and Friends DLC going live on WWE 2K24 servers Wednesday, June 26th. At the time of this recording, it's a couple days from now, and we've been getting a little bit more and more information as we get closer to the drop date. But what do we know about this DLC pack so far? What we know is it's the Post Malone and Friends pack. We're getting a few characters. We're getting Post Malone. We're getting Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. We're getting Sensational Sherri, and we're getting Jimmy Hart as a manager. Now, I don't think Post Malone's actually friends with all these people. I don't think that at all. But they are all kind of musical themed or musical inspired characters, and so it kind of makes sense to group them together. Now, along with these in-game characters, we are getting some My Faction content. We're getting Post, we're getting Mosh, we're getting Thrasher and Sherri as superstar cards. I believe they're all Ruby cards, and then we are getting Jimmy Hart as an Amethyst manager card. So if you're playing My Faction, these are some pretty decent cards and characters to get in the game, but for most of us, My Faction is kind of just a chore that we feel like we have to do as opposed to something we want to do. Now, as I look at this DLC pack, I have to be honest. I'm not super stoked about this particular pack. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the celebrity additions to these DLC packs. I kind of feel like from time to time, they're actually taking away from superstars that we could get or roster updates that we could get. And I'm especially not big fans of them as the main headliner or the main attraction of the DLC pack, especially when it's filled out with some lesser known legends. Because honestly, I'm not a big legends guy either. I don't really use them much. I don't put them in my universe mode. I typically like to stick to or pretty close to the current WWE roster when I'm using universe mode. However, I know that, some of the legends are fun, and it's really fun to have a bunch of legends in the game if you're playing with friends or just hanging out. I'm not going to complain about that. I'll never complain about more legends, but as legends go, Sensational Sherri and the Headbangers aren't really the type of legends that I would ever use. I'm using more of the big names, so even looking down the calendar at the upcoming WCW pack, I'm kind of interested in that as far as legends go, but these, they just don't do it for me. Maybe they do for you. So again, we're getting legends, we're getting additional roster spots filled, we're getting additional superstars, and that's a great thing. But personally, what I want out of DLC is a more updated WWE roster. As I look at this upcoming DLC pack and the next one, honestly, I don't see much more than a lot of wasted space, especially in the next one. We'll talk about that as it gets closer, but the Pat McAfee and Friends pack is a major letdown. But again, we could talk about that when it gets a little closer. In this current pack and the next one, though, we are getting zero current WWE superstars in either one, with kind of the exception of Pat McAfee is a commentator in WWE, but he doesn't wrestle. I mean, he made an appearance in Royal Rumble. I get it. It's going to be kind of fun to have him in the game. But again, these two packs combined don't give us a single current WWE superstar. And I feel like that's a pretty big miss. Last year, we got at least one NXT pack that allowed us to get some of these upcoming superstars that weren't in the game in time to be added to the roster. And so I feel like it's a big miss this year. The fact that we're not getting NXT superstars like Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, Oba Femi, Lola Vice, or Oro Mensah, Jada Parker, Lexis King, all of them should have been considered heavily, and at least some of them, a handful of them, should have been in the DLC, especially when you look at Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, who have been wrestling in NXT for quite some time. So for me, this pack and the next one just feel like big misses as we look at what is possible. But tell me your thoughts. Are you looking forward to these characters being in the game? Specifically the Post Malone and Friends pack. Are you looking forward to playing as Post or Mosh and Thrasher or Sensational Sherry? For me, again, like I said, it's just kind of a miss, but I would love to know your thoughts. Maybe you're big fans of Mosh and Thrasher. I'm an Attitude Era kid. That's when I came up. That's the wrestling that I look back on with nostalgia, but Mosh and Thrasher just never really did it for me. So again, I'm a little disappointed in this particular pack as it relates to the superstars that we're getting. I also completely forgot to mention Honky Tonk Man. He's in there as well. And again, he's one of those more fun legends that I probably would play with, maybe in a hanging out with friends, just playing some ridiculous matches sort of context. But again, never going to really use him in the game. But again, tell me your thoughts. Who are you excited about? Are you excited about this pack at all? Now, what else can we expect though? There is still some good news for me as it relates to this upcoming DLC. These DLC packs have been coming with a little bit more than just the characters lately. They've been coming with patch updates, but we also have gotten new weapons, new attire pieces, and if you got the 40 Years of WrestleMania edition, you even got the downloadable WrestleMania 40 Arena, which that's pretty cool. 2K's never given us a downloadable arena like that or an updated current arena, which is a big win. I thought it was a huge win. Now, you could argue that it was $20 too much for one arena and some alt attires, maybe, but it does show what's possible and what 2K can do in the future. But as far as this particular update in this particular pack goes, here's what we know. We know that we're going to get some new weapons in this pack. Now, as we watch the gameplay trailers and some of the promo materials, you've seen that there are two weapons that we can expect. One, Honky Tonk Man's guitar. Now, this is a weapon that's making its return to WWE games, as we've had the guitar in the games before, and I'm glad to get it back. I think it's a great weapon. It's a fun weapon, and we're just watching it get smashed over someone's head is a lot of fun. So looking forward to having that. Additionally, we are going to get Jimmy Hart's megaphone. You can see in some of this gameplay footage that it is being used as a weapon, and that's fun. I'm curious to see how it works. Like, is it like the microphone where when you hit somebody, it makes the feedback noise or a big thump? Could it be like a radio crackling sound or something like that? I think that'll be a fun weapon to have in the game. So that's great. It's always fun to get new weapons and things like that. But the bigger story here is that this confirms that we're going to be getting some kind of patch update with the DLC. Now, it seems that that's the pattern. We do typically get a patch update with DLC, but I never want to make an assumption about that, especially as it relates to 2K, because you never know what they're going to do. The last patch update, let's just be honest, it was quite disappointing. It came with the WrestleMania Arena patch 1.09, and the patch notes basically said added WrestleMania Day and Night arenas and server stability improvements. That was the entirety of the patch, and I know for me, several of you, most of the 2K community, this was a pretty big letdown. There were some big things that we were hoping would get fixed or patched, and they didn't. And since then, they haven't released any updates. From time to time, 2K will push an update prior to DLC, but it seems like maybe those days are over, which is unfortunate. So for me personally, I am hoping for a lot more in the upcoming patch, which I assume will be 1.10. Now, if you check out support.2k.com, which is where you can go to report bugs or check the status of current bug updates, you can see what updates are planned for future patches. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that these will all be fixed in this upcoming patch, but it does show us that they are currently being worked on. As you can see here, there are quite a few things that are marked as planned for future update. This is great. It shows that 2K is still working on this game to make it better, to improve the player experience, which I think is super important. This game has been riddled with bugs from the start, and sometimes it has become unplayable. So I'm excited to see 2K taking it seriously and making some improvements. Now, I really hope, for me personally, I want to see Universe Mode get a fair amount of attention in this particular update. I would love to see several of these things that don't work fixed, some of the bugs taken care of, and just general stability improvement to the mode overall. Specifically for me, I want Money in the Bank to work. Please, 2K, make Money in the Bank work. It just doesn't. It's impossible to cash it in. It's just weird and wonky and broken. Please fix Money in the Bank. It's been years. I also want to see the rivalry actions corrected. There's several rivalry actions that don't produce their intended outcome, such as switching from heel to face or face to heel. Those crowd reactions don't actually change, and I would love to see that fixed. I love playing Universe Mode, but I got to tell you, this year, Universe Mode for me has been nothing more than a headache. I've had to restart my game one time because of bugs and glitches, and my save data just vanished another time. So twice I've had to restart my Universe Mode, and I haven't actually gotten to play it much this year because of all these bugs and issues. I really, really want to see Universe Mode get fixed. I really want this mode to work. I really feel like it's the best mode in the game as far as what it should be capable of. Not necessarily what it is, but what it should be capable of. I also would really love to see the Creation Suite cleaned up. I want to see that image swap glitch fixed. I want to see the save issues fixed. I would love to see Creation Suite really, really function properly, because that's the big selling point of these games is Universe Mode. Make your own WWE Universe, make your own sandbox situation, and Creation Suite. Customize the game however you want. These two things should be priority, and it just feels like they're not. Obviously, it feels like My Faction is the priority, and for most players that I've interacted with, My Faction is just not a win for them. So all of those updates that I just mentioned are listed as planned for future updates, so I'm hoping we see those in this one, but who knows? We may see some of them, but not all of them. Really, really hoping that those are the issues that get fixed for me. But I would love to know from you, what are your thoughts? What updates do you really want to see in this upcoming patch? What would be a big win for you? But like I said, for me, it's Creations and Universe Mode. Again, tell me your thoughts, though. That's what I really want to know. All right, speaking of My Faction, though, let's talk about My Faction for just a moment. We do have some new Persona cards coming in this new update, and we've got this Demastered Superstars collection. So there's a couple of superstars that will be featured in that, including Asuka, Bianca Belair, Xavier Woods, and maybe a few more. Now, these are inspired by the Nintendo 64 look, the pixely, polygon-shaped superstars. And for me, I don't care. I don't care about these. And personally, I believe I speak for many when I say that this is not what the community wants out of My Faction and out of Persona cards. For me, I wanted Persona cards to be about updates, about moving the game and the roster forward, not about going backwards. Like, I love the nostalgia of these games. I'm looking forward to when Ultra Pro Wrestling comes out, but this is not that game. This is a sim game. It's a simulation game. It should be more realistic. And again, the Persona card should be about updates, not about going backwards. We haven't gotten any updates outside of The Rock and Roman Reigns, and we could talk about those for hours. In fact, I've got another video in which I do talk about those if you want to check that out. But I wanted to see updates, updated Trons, updated looks, updated attires, but so far we haven't gotten that nearly as much as we thought. We got Sheamus with an updated Tron, updated music, and that's been about it. And it's unfortunate because there was so much potential. There was so much potential for these Persona cards, for My Faction. I thought that this would be the year that I loved My Faction, and I really, really just hate it more and more every day. There's been a couple of good spots, a couple of bright spots, but for the most part, My Faction is the bane of my existence. I do believe that this was a great opportunity, and it continues to be a great opportunity, but honestly, this particular set of Persona cards feels a little lazy to me. It feels like a lazy cash grab, and to be honest, that is what most of the Persona cards have felt like since the beginning of this game. This was a great opportunity to provide a ton of value to players, to increase the replay value of this game, and instead, I feel like in this community, it's become a joke. My Faction overall for me has been a huge letdown, and I would love to see that mode completely overhauled and completely refocused. Yes, 2K, I get it. You're a business. You want to make money. You should make money. That's great. But make money by adding value. That is what I feel is lacking. I don't believe that the value is there for players, and I would love to see that change. But you tell me, how do you feel about these Persona cards and the Persona cards in general? Is my faction adding to your 2K experience, or do you find it more frustrating? All right, overall though, as we look at this DLC, for me, the success or failure of this DLC pack comes down to the patch update. If the update brings a lot of value, then I'm going to be okay with it. Otherwise, I'm going to not be overly excited about this one. I'm not super excited about the roster updates. I'm not super excited about who's being added to the game. And unfortunately, that's my feeling on this year's DLC content overall. A couple of packs down the road, we're going to get the Global Superstars pack, but that's not coming out until late September. And outside of CM Punk in the first pack, that's the only DLC pack in the entire offering that is actually updating the roster at all. So for me, I would love to see a better mix of legends and current superstars in the future. Mix those up, shuffle them up. Let every pack have some current superstars, some legends. Just make it better across the board. And the Pat McAfee pack, let's never do that again. Let's never do that again. Let's never fill a pack with people who are not associated with the WWE at all outside of one of them. I think that is a huge miss. And again, we'll talk more about that as it gets closer. Maybe there's going to be some surprises or something. Who knows? But for me, as I look at this year's DLC overall, I'm a little sad. I'm a little let down. I'm a little disappointed. And I think 2K could have done a lot better. I do think that they worked really hard to get CM Punk into the game, and that probably cost us some of the updated superstars that were planned. I do believe that Sol Ruca was planned to be part of the DLC, as is evidenced by the fact that some of her attire parts got put into the game. And I think that CM Punk probably cost us that to a certain extent. I'm not going to complain about that too much. I'm super excited that CM Punk is back in the game. I think that's a huge win. But I would like to see in the future a better mix of current superstars mixed in with the legends as they release these DLC. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this DLC pack and this year's DLC in general. While you're down there, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. At 200 subscribers, we're giving away that CM Punk t-shirt and hat, and would love for you to be one of the ones that has a chance to win it. Thank you for hanging out with me today on Rumble Rewind, and I'll see you on the next one.